This is Bitcoin Hackers. In this game, you'll have to use your skills to the limit in order to get access to a highly valued Bitcoin account, which seems to have several security flaws. Each time anyone tries to get into it, the access code will change, so you better keep up. There are several types of cards: access cards, master codes, numbered cards, or coded cards, among which we may find cards with malware, with an alteration code, a backdoor code, or the ones with special skills. Well, let's prepare the game. Access cards are separated. Then we shuffle and create a game deck with numbered cards, and now it depends on which level of difficulty we want to play with. We can establish 3 levels. The basic one, we just focus on the card's numbers and signs without considering the added effects. The advanced level does take into account the special effects when they appear. The expert level, here we add a special skills card. Basic level, now each player receives 5 cards from the deck. Then a random player will pick a card, which will be the first one of the code deck. This card will determine who is going to be the active player, those who have to begin. Starting to count from the player who picked the card, we move to the right or to the left. If there is a plus, it reminds us. If the first card drawn is a master code, it is discarded and another one is drawn. The aim of the game is to get 3 access cards. To get one, we'll have to use all of our cards, till we have not one. To use one, we ought to be the active player and use a card with a superior or inferior number than the one the card on the table has. Never use the same, in case we cannot use a card for that reason, or in case we do not want to use one, we'll be hacked. If this happens, we should do as follows. We count the cards of the code deck. We'll take from the deck half of the total of it. Then the previous player becomes again the active player. Just in case the previous one and the actual one is the same player, we pick a new card and determine a new active player as in the beginning of the game. Once we've used our last card, we'll get an access card. The first one to get 3 of them will win the game. This card, the master code, is a wild card. It allows us to use it independently on what card is on top of the deck. Then we discard the deck and pick up a new one. Then determine who the active player is. Don't you say it's a piece of cake till you see the next level, only for advanced players. Now we apply the card's special effects to spice things up. Malware cards. The card points to a player. This player must take a card. One can activate a firewall to avoid this by showing 2 cards with the same number on them, but different signs, cards that will be discarded afterwards. Alteration code cards. One can modify a card temporarily. Example, there's an 8 and we have a 6 on this card. We can use both to get a 9, which is superior, and we may use it. The modifier goes at the bottom of it, so the next player only has to count the card on top. Backdoor cards. One may only use them if we have more than 5 or 7 cards in our hand. This allows us to discard our hand and take a new hand with half the cards we had. This is the advanced level. Okay, and now things will get even more complicated only for experts. We'll use the special skills cards. At the beginning of the game, we take 2 random cards and pick one of them. If we're just 3 players, we discard this one and receive 3 instead of 2 to choose one. And if we are 6 players, we won't have to pick up one because we'll just take 1 special skill card. These are the cards. We could get immune to malware or become experts on firewalls, which allows us to discard an extra card whenever we break malware, or perhaps our special ability is to double the effect of the malware. To modify with a +/-1 the alteration code card. To be an expert on backdoor cards, letting us to create a 1 card hand after using a wild card. To be an expert on the master code card, becoming the active player after using one, instead of choosing someone as usual. To be an expert on backup copies, which help us to discard cards whenever anyone uses their glass card. In blockchain, to take 4 instead of 5 cards after getting an access card. In exploits, to get an access card if we accumulate 4 equal cards and discard them. Or an expert in information, which led us to control the attack of the malware. So, fun is granted, do not lose count and destroy the defenses. Will you be up to the challenge?